you raise a very, very good point. I don't disagree that they'd have to earn their way back into the conversation. But I actually think if they lose in London, they'll be in the conversation for a different reason because we'll be talking
Yeah.
about their new head coach. If they
Yeah.
lose,
Yeah.
is Philbin still the coach?
That's a great question. If they were going into an open week the very next week, which they are, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
London,
they are.
after London, you get an open week, right? That's a
Mm-hmm.
lock, right? That's part of the scheduling.
That's right.
If you're going to go to London, the very next week it's open. Yeah, I hate, I'm not a big, I'm not a huge fan of the coach speculation game, but I'm also not naive in this day and age. It's kind of part of the package. It's not the good old days where, hey, you don't talk about the coach, their families are involved, blah, blah. I get all that, and I'm very respectful of that.
Yeah.
And look, my family's involved every week when I go into the booth. So if I don't do a good job, they'll take me out of the booth. My family's involved too. So I get it. All right, it's not a lot of fun, but the truth of the matter is, because they're headed to an open week, they'll be coming back from London. If they go and have another clunker, I'm not going to say a loss. Okay, if they actually show up and play, that's a different story. But if they show up like they did the last 2 weeks, I think that conversation's in play.
And we're talking to Charles Davis, NFL Fox analyst. Of course, he's in the booth, and he did the Cards of the Niners this past week. He's got the Rams and the Cards coming up this week. Tiki and Tierney inside the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio on a Wednesday morning.
Charles, what is in Larry Fitzgerald's coffee? Because he's having a resurgent season this year. And I know a lot of it is Carson Palmer being back and playing great football. Some people are mentioning him in the MVP category right now. And Bruce Arians is a fantastic head coach. But this Cardinals team, I don't want to say they're surprising people, but they're a player this year in the NFC.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me start with the Cardinals real quick. I think that, as you said, they're not a surprise yet. I think it goes back to the Super Bowl that they appeared in. I really do, because you guys remember when they got into the Super Bowl that year, they were 9-7 division champs, and it felt flukish.
Yep.
On the national stage, everybody's like, oh, wow. But then they played an extraordinary game with Pittsburgh. Only lost it because of Big Ben's big drive, the big touchdown pass at the end, incredible catch, the whole deal. The very next year, the follow-up, though, was season opener. Everyone charged up. They get beat by San Francisco at home. Didn't ruin their season. They went back to the playoffs, but they lost in the first round. Then never to be heard from again until Bruce Arians gets to town. So I think for people on the national scene, it's like, Arizona Cardinals. They don't have that year in, year out build up with people where they expect them to be great. People have already – it's still hard for people to absorb the fact that since Arians has been there, they've won 10 games, didn't make the playoffs, which is unusual, as you know, when you win 10. They won 11 last year and had to play 4 different quarterbacks due to injuries. And then this year they're off to the 3-0 start, and they look really, really good. The second part with Larry Fitz is, as you guys know, he moved from the outside receiver to the inside receiver, and that took some convincing. I asked him about it point blank this week, and he's very honest about it. He said, no, I didn't want to move inside. He said it took a lot to convince me because my question back to them was, exactly what am I doing wrong out there except going to Pro Bowls and eating people alive? And so for him, he was
but he wasn't eating people alive anymore. That's not a fair assessment of where he was.
Well, that's his assessment.
But it's wrong.
Okay? And that would be one I would take up with Larry on that one. So, his assessment was, I'm still a good player out here. And you guys know as players, we're the last ones to say we're not good players anymore.
True.
Or we need to make a move. He felt like he was out there, plus unfamiliarity. He'd never been inside before. Why? Whoa, hold up a second. That's the Briar Patch. So it took some convincing. He said he spent time with Hines Ward, Anquan Bolden, a bunch of guys, and they talked him through the process. And he said really the convincer was, have you watched Bruce's offense, and have you noticed that the guy inside still gets a ton of passes? In fact, he's probably the number one playmaker. And he watched the tape, and he started to see, oh, yeah, Hines gets a ton of balls in there. Worked through it, worked through the process. It wasn't fun for him, but now he's there. Here's the second part of why I think, and this is my own opinion, why I think he's having such a big year. Michael Floyd has not developed into that number one guy outside. Okay, Michael Floyd has not seized the reins and said, I'm that target. I should be getting 100 balls a year. He had injuries in the preseason this year, the 3 dislocated fingers. But even before that, he wasn't the consistent go-to guy, and I think that Larry has filled the void in a big way. and really feels like he has something left to prove. And Bruce Arians is going to go where the hot hand is. Bruce is all about winning. And right now, Larry's that guy, and he's going to ride him as long as he can.